Hello everyone, we're just letting everyone in, so I'll introduce the session and all our lovely guests in a minute. If you're happy to put who's here and where you're from and who you're representing today in the chat, that's really useful to know. So we are recording the session, so I hope everyone's happy with that. It's just that lots of people work odd hours and can't join us, so they like to watch it afterwards when they can. So, Holly, are we happy with that? Everyone here now is in. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is our second library-focused Zoom session. We are recording this session, so I hope everyone's happy with that. So I'm Jess Huffman. I'm the project manager at the NRTF, which is the National Rural Touring Forum. We're an Arts Council England national portfolio organisation, and we aim to strengthen the support for rural populations to bring professional work to their venues, and that includes libraries. So I also manage the delivery of our Touring Arts in Libraries project, which sets out to boost the ambition of libraries to deliver a programme of touring work. So why are we running these sessions? Well, it's an opportunity, we felt, to bring the rural touring and library sector together, and it's as part of this project. So that's one of the aims of the project, is to bring you together. And we hope that the sessions are a chance to network and meet artists and schemes, and to discover new shows and initiatives and collaborations, and to share ideas and be inspired. So we hope that's what we're aiming to do that anyway. So today, joining us, we've got Amy Lewis. Is Amy with us? Is she here? Are you all right, Amy?
I am, yeah, I managed to connect. Hi, everyone. I'm Amy from Gloucestershire Libraries.
This is Amy, and we've got Emma Jane Benning. Wave at us, Emma. Emma is the co-artistic director of Strike a Light, which is a Gloucester-based organisation programming and creating diverse and vibrant events in the city of Gloucester. We've got Johnny Fluffypunk, who's with us today from a 16th century pub. You can see a coat of arms in the background. Johnny is a well-known and respected rural touring artist, poet and performer, and he's going to be talking about the collaboration he's done with Amy and Strike a Light, and his new show. We've also got Robin Hatcher from Puppet Van, who's producer at Puppet Van, and Robin will be talking about Half a String Theatre's new touring show, The Lost Colour, which is a fantastic piece as well. And we hope that there'll be the opportunity for you to ask questions to all our guests, and offer some feedback about what you're doing and what collaborations might be happening with you. If you want to put a question into the chat, just put question in capitals, and then I'll filter through that and pick those up as we go along. But I'm going to hand over to Amy, Emma Jane and Johnny. So it's really just a chance for you to talk to us a little bit about Arts of Libraries and the collaboration that you did with Pound Arts, Strike a Light and Johnny. So tell us a bit more, Amy, if you can.
Hi, everyone. So I was going to give you a little background about Art of Libraries and what it is. Is that still okay, Jess, to show the video as well?
Fantastic, yeah.
Brilliant. Cool. So I'm Amy from Libraries. And so Art of Libraries was led by an organisation called Create Gloucestershire, but in partnership with Gloucestershire Libraries. So the aim was for libraries to act as hubs for arts and culture, and for children and young people, but especially those who don't necessarily attend or engage with the arts. It was also to change the mindset of what libraries are. So they're not seen as a hush place, but as a place to be creative. To begin, we had 4 libraries with 4 catalysts in each. And what a catalyst is, because I know that word can be very odd, is basically they were people with strong connections to the arts and community. So we had 4 libraries, 4 catalysts, but then it eventually moved up to 6 libraries. And it ran for 3 years, which gave us enough time to adjust, develop, and sort of evaluate. But I thought I'd show you the video of that kind of documented that whole 3 years to give you a sort of background into it. So the first kind of 2 years, we're working with the catalysts and to work with work in progress shows, and to bring new relationships into libraries. So I will share my screen and show you, what happened. Bear with. Okay, hopefully you can all see that. Do you want to let me know whether you can see it? Jess? Yeah?
Ames, we can't see it. We can see Jess.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I will.
Yeah,
cool.
just
There you go. You should see this now.
Brilliant.
It's been a while since I've done Zoom. So can you all see that now? Yeah. Thank you.
Can't hear it, Amy.
Oh.
Go up to view options, Amy, and enable the sound, I think, sharing, isn't it?
Yeah, if you go up to the top, it should give you view options and then you can share sound, Amy.
Bum, bum, bum. Okay, can you hear it now? Yeah, I'm having a few technical issues here.
No,
I can't
hear it.
No, you can't hear it. I don't know whether you want to get it up on your screen, Jess, because I haven't shared this sound before, but it might be because I've got headphones in. Sorry, guys.
That's all right.
Why don't we just talk about the project, and if we can manage to sort the tech out, then we'll do it later. Let's just talk.
Yeah, Jess, I think if you can share the screen and get the video up on the website,
Yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah, if you can send me the link and I'll share it when.
Brilliant. I'll send the link in the chat. Sorry, guys. I haven't actually shared my screen in quite a while.
That's fine. Yeah, we'll just use it as an opportunity for you to tell us a bit more about how it came about, Amy, and we'll find a way of sharing the video.
There you are. Cool. I've sent you the link. I'll stop sharing. Cool.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about how you came to work, or Arts and Libraries, and how you came to work with Emma Jane at Strike a Light. Because also I know that Pound Arts was part of the collaboration as well.
Yeah. So how it really came about was I actually was embedded in both libraries and Strike a Light. So I worked part-time Strike a Light, part-time libraries, and my role was to be that bridge between them both. And so with Art of Libraries, that was one of the shows was to work with Johnny Fluffypunk. So we had the workshops and for the development work in progress, and also the show, which we made into a digital show. So yeah, I was really that kind of bridge between them both to sort of collaborate that show.
Is it worth me just quickly talking about Amy's role and how pivotal that was to the project? Strike a Light's a non-venue based organisation. We're Gloucester's only NPO, National Portfolio Organisation. We present work in unexpected and unusual places, and the library seemed a really fantastic place to utilise. It's in the centre of the town. It has quite a diverse user group, and it has quite a young user group in that there's a lot of children and young people under the age of like 13 accessing it. Amy's role came about through a cultural leadership programme, and Amy's jazzy title was a cultural leadership trainee, which was a right garbled mouthful. And she ended up working 1 day a week out of a 4-day-a-week post with Strike a Light. And it became apparent really, really quickly that Amy had got some brilliant skills and expertise that we felt we could help develop as a producer. So we persuaded the library that actually if we shared Amy more equally, we were going to get better results. And the library have been absolutely fantastic. They were really open, they were really generous, and they really wanted to try something new. And so they agreed to Amy to working with us an extra day a week. So we had Amy for 2 days. We were able to develop on the art side Amy's skills and expertise around producing and marketing the arts. And she was able, whilst at the library, to be that conduit between the arts and the library users. That partnership was absolutely the success. Art of Libraries had started the year before with a few hiccups. The staff within the library had faced a number of barriers into making this project work. Primarily, they were asked to do something in addition to their normal job, and they weren't necessarily people who understood or who had had experience of putting the arts in libraries, and especially art that was moving, that was noisy, and that required them to move shelves. So it was a big ask of the library team, but once we'd gone through the first year and the senior management had been so supportive and inclusive, and Amy had then joined us, we saw this real shift in the dynamic over at the library and the willingness to sort of take on work. And I would say that Amy's role and the relationship and the partnership with the library and the city has been a massive success story. For Amy to have continued working at the end of her sort of traineeship, we were able to keep her on for another 6 months of work. And after that 6 months of work, the library created a bespoke role for Amy. So there was a real investment, there was a real willingness to make things happen. And the key word for me is buy-in. And the second key word is partnership. So there was funding to make it happen. There was an imaginative and creative response from the library and a willingness to make it work. So all of those things combined meant that there was a real success. Johnny is the bit in the middle that's really crucial, because you can have great partnership, but if you haven't got great art in the middle of it, there's not much point. So Johnny's show came along, and I'm going to let him talk to you a bit. But we were able to hold Amy and help her make that transition from being a trainee into being a professional producer. And Johnny accepted Amy as the person who was going to help him take this work into libraries. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have both of them working in this project and representing Gloucester and Strike a Light and the libraries. Johnny, I'll...
Okay, yeah, cheers. Thanks for that. Yeah, brilliant tracky top, by the way. But yeah. So I specialise in doing. I mean, I'm really into just doing shows that I can take into all kinds of unusual and odd spaces. And I've worked a lot with libraries over the years in various capacities, not just doing shows, but doing workshops, all sorts of things. And obviously, as that last bastion of human beings doing something beautiful for each other and giving without expecting to be paid, I always do anything I can to work with and support libraries. So the show that I devised, which is a kind of lo-fi spoken word theatre and puppetry touring show, I always, when I'm conceiving these things, I always do it with the idea of libraries in mind. So spaces that aren't necessarily, aren't at all designed for theatre. They're designed for books and things like that, but I want to be able to fit in amongst all that stuff. So I make stuff that is very self-contained. So all I need from the library basically is a floor, a roof and a plug socket, and I can take care of the rest. And on this project, it's been brilliant because right from the off, we had through Amy, it wasn't just Gloucester Library. We were paired with various libraries across Gloucester, and some of the things didn't happen in the end, but that was nothing to do with the libraries. That was because of COVID suddenly closing everything down. We're supposed to do a whole load of showcases in different libraries across the county, but I worked not only with Gloucester Library, but Stroud Library provided a rehearsal space which was just like, you know, an empty room that they've got, but again with what my requirements, that was brilliant. So they really helped out with that. The people were so helpful. People really liked, you know, I found the library staff just so liked being involved in the creation of something. They really bent over backwards to help. And yeah, as we say, we were supposed to then do showcase performances, but the first showcase performance in a library was 2 days after the first lockdown began. So that kind of put paid to that. But hopefully we will run those. But yeah, we did workshops in Gloucester Library, workshops in Stroud Library. Again, I sort of took in, and of course, libraries are such a brilliant focus for doing any kind of creative endeavour like this, because you've got so many. For a start, this show was a family show. You know, a lot of children involved, so they're brilliant for contacting children, because all children love the library. All children attend the library, and the library is, you know, we were way oversubscribed for people coming to these workshops, and everybody got involved. And I can't, you know, I can't praise the involvement of the library people enough, really. So yeah, they're utterly instrumental in the creation of this show, and this show is created with them in mind as one of the major places to do it in. So yeah, I'll shut up for a bit now.
Are you able to tell us a little bit about how Pound Arts featured in that collaboration and why it was important to you to work with the scheme?
Do you want to start with that, Amy, and I'll add in?
Yeah, so how did it come about? So we, from Strikerlight, so Strikerlight have a really strong partnership and relationship with the Pound Arts, and then that obviously meant that I got to build a relationship with Martin from the Pound, and then he was just a massive advocate for libraries, and we got chatting, and he just really wanted to support us as well. And when we eventually made John's show into a digital show, it was kind of just kind of an out of the blue idea, but also an obvious one, that we kind of partnered up with Strikerlight and also the Pound Arts to kind of hit different audiences, but also Pound Arts have got a really strong connections with their libraries as well over that way. So they were just really kind of an advocate to kind of push it towards other libraries and get other libraries involved. So it was a massive kind of collaboration of libraries in a way, and also non-library audiences, so Strikerlight's audiences and also Johnny's audiences. So that's how it really came about. EJ, do you want to?
We're a massive advocate of, if you share stuff, everybody gets better. If you can find good partners to come with you along the way who add value to the stuff that you're doing, but in return you add value to the stuff that they're doing, it's like a match made in heaven, because everybody wants to make it work. Too many partners can be really problematic and difficult to manage, but if you can just find the right mix, I think that being able to bring the Pound Arts Centre on, that stretched the project just further than the boundaries of Gloucestershire, was an exciting and interesting thing to do. We already had a strong working relationship with them. We understood their ethos. We shared values around the work that we present. So yeah, I think about your partners carefully. Share as much stuff as you possibly can and be as open as you can, but make sure you don't bring too many cooks into the mix to make things problematic.
Thank you. Some really great points there, and you touched briefly on this obviously the situation of the last year that has meant that you weren't able to tour work live. So can you just tell us a little bit about the challenges that you faced in order to get work seen despite all those restrictions? So a little bit about, you know, you did have to adapt work so that it was digital, and maybe how that's impacted on how you'll work in the future.
Right, is that I'll speak a bit about that. Yeah, so okay, this show, I mean, it's been a bit of an eye-opener for me, because a lot of the stuff that I always did in the old world was very much, you know, I'm very much about being up close, about being sort of intimate. You know, again, that sort of works really well in a library, because you're often sort of squeezed into a space with, you know, and it's I love being in the audience. You know, I'm not a sort of stand up on a, you know, elevated on the stage above the audience kind of thing. And especially when you're dealing with children, you like them to be all around and you can interact. So this show was designed with all of that kind of thing in mind, and of course all those things suddenly became absolutely impossible to do. You weren't allowed to get close, you weren't allowed to do anything at first, but even when you did start being able to, you had to maintain all these distances and things. So thanks to both Amy and Striker Light, who were both really encouraging me, because I was initially wary of, I say, what I do, I can't make that work, I have to be amongst people. But then you get, the longer this went on, the more it was like, well, I just really want to just connect. I want to connect. I have to find a way of connecting. And, they set me up with a brilliant and really sort of, open-minded film crew. And with the wonderful Martin, the kindest man in theatre at Pound Arts, who provided the theatre space. So Pound Arts provided, they said, you come down, and this was in the middle of the second lockdown, come down and just film in here. And so we had a socially distanced film crew, and then me in amongst it, but they really worked hard to try and, as much as possible, capture that kind of the sort of immediacy that I was after. So there's plenty of bits where I kind of loom right into the camera and all that kind of, you can sort of play with it. And they were, and then to have it actually distributed out through libraries, so libraries were able then to share, that this thing was made available for a week for free to the audiences. So people sort of made a date of it and came online, and it was streamed out and promoted through through Striker Light, through Pound Arts, and through the libraries, and all those sort of different audiences sort of fed into it. And for me, it was a real it was lovely, actually. Once I got used to the concept, it was lovely being able to just sit at home with my feet up, knowing that the filmed virtual me was sweating it out on stage, and there were all these people watching it for a week, and it was lovely, and got loads of lovely feedback, and lots of people saw it, and it was, what more can I say? I think it even got nominated for a Saboteur Award or something. So someone else, anyone else want to pitch in with anything on that?
I think you've covered that really well, Johnny. I think the digital market is completely flooded. It's a minefield. You're up against some massive big players, and it's not going to be for everyone. We have not done many digital sharings over the course of COVID, but this felt right, and it was one that we had success with. Jess, I don't know how much longer we've got, but there was a couple of sort of top tips that I thought might be useful to share, both from sort of our side as an arts organisation, Amy's side as a library, and maybe Johnny as an artist. What are our top tips for working?
That'd be brilliant.
From an arts organisation's perspective, a couple of things that I think are really crucial is time. Don't expect a 6-month project to hit all your aims and objectives. We've been working for 3 years now with the library, and we're still finding our stride. It's not something that you can dip in and out of. I think it's about an organisational shift, and those things take time. You need funding. It's really difficult to ask people to do more on top of their existing roles, and I think if you can find funding to bring somebody in who is the bridge between the library staff and the art, in this case that was Amy, I think you're onto a winner with that one. And two last things: sharing those resources, finding someone else that can help you with video space, recording space like the Pound did, who can put some additional funding into the pot like the Pound did. Those sort of things are crucial. And the last thing is make mistakes. because you're not going to get it right first time round. It's absolutely okay for the first 6 months to feel like a total disaster. I don't think we start any project and get everything right, and I think it's really important that we have time and allow ourselves all those difficult conversations, all those things that feel like they're not quite working, but if you give yourself that time as well, at the end of it you'll come out feeling like you're achieving. Amy, from a library's perspective, what are your top tips?
So one of the biggest tips that and something that we've kind of learned from our libraries and working with artists and from the early stages, so those workshops, which were obviously they were really highly kind of populated, but we found that our libraries were they had a niche for supporting that first kind of step. So basically, the artists had the opportunity to come into that safe space and ask the audiences questions and then develop it instead of just bringing in a high production developed show. The fact that we got time with Johnny to kind of develop through the workshops, and then he developed a show through that. We felt that was a niche that we had and that we could provide to artists, if that makes sense. Also, in terms of working with Striker Light, that supported us actually finding artists in terms of the early stages, and also discussing ideas. Some really, really out there, but some that we can learn from. And also, so my bridge was I brought them back to libraries and we learned from them, and we were more open-minded from them, and that's because of that open discussion with Striker Light. And I guess every library has its different community, but so having those kind of arts organisations like Striker Light kind of really helped us kind of collaborate on the work within Gloucester community. I know obviously digital, it meant that we had a wider audience, but for instance, that kind of partnership made us stronger in terms of embedding us with our community, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's it really. Johnny, do you have any tips?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. What in terms of for library, I mean, the main thing I would say after having worked with libraries for years and years on things is just, take a deep breath and take a punt on it and get involved and do it. Try putting something on, because you'll never know if it will work unless you do try. Because I work a lot with an organisation in the Midlands called Poetry on Loan that puts stuff in libraries, and it's all free to the libraries, but so many of them are just sort of scared of I don't, and then when they try it works. I mean, just with a little bit of publicity, it works, and it's it is a whole new sort of string to your bow, and it can be a lot of fun. And libraries are always good providers of biscuits, which is important to a performer. But yeah, I can't really think of any tips as such, because I mean, don't know. I'll have to.
Those are pretty good tips, Johnny. Holly's got the video, Amy, so we'll show that now, and that'll introduce Arts of Libraries. So we'll share that with everyone now, and then Johnny will share the clip of your show afterwards.
Arts of Libraries is a test project. We were really interested to explore if libraries could plant creative seeds for children and young people. Particularly, we were interested in children and young people who might not have access to art and culture and creativity, either in their home or at their school. We were also interested to see whether libraries could provide a new space for artists and to have a new place for their work, and also for libraries to have an opportunity to widen and diversify beyond books, what they were offering within their communities.
For me as a manager, it's been watching how the staff have managed to transform their libraries and work with their communities. We've had young people, we've had adults in who have encountered art and culture literally for the first time. And we've developed partnerships now where people are bringing things in themselves. It's about us facilitating and offering our space for the communities to use.
It's a really exciting project. It's been quite a journey for the last few years since it's been happening. It's been quite a challenge for staff to change and to adapt and to think about commissioning artists to come and create murals, or commissioning theatre companies to come in and create theatre performances in the library. It's been a real shift for staff, but they're really grasping at the opportunities now.
We have far more regular things since the Art of Libraries programme. So as you can see today, we're creating mats, but we've had a host of sessions such as pottery, comic class workshops. So anything really, we'll test and try anything.
The library that I remember was much more sort of stuffy place and solely orientated around books, probably cassette tapes if you were lucky. Nowadays they have these drop-in centres, games. They're not necessarily a quiet place that you might expect. Quite unexpected, the actual range of things that they do.
There's computers available and other fun activities. They see it very much as a fun place to go and be creative, I think.
It's been the journey, I think. The project has gone on for 3 years, giving that time to experiment, to learn and to build. This is sort of almost the beginning. There's been 3 years building up to launching this moment.
I think there's a real need wider in schools. You know, schools are regimented places. Children are drilled, examined, hammered sometimes, and they need places where they can find what they're good at. I think libraries are fantastic at that and can do even more.
Very cool, like you don't normally get this result from library because it's literally meant to be quiet, but now people comes and have fun. This session makes us get creative to learn and be very concentrative on what you're doing.
I pushed to get the Art of Libraries into Morton Library because we were aware of the lack of culture and the social isolation. Even things such as going to the cinema isn't easy if you come from a poorer household in a rural community. It's getting the children used to having somewhere to go where they can express their creativity.
We did struggle at first, and we were throwing events out there, just trying to find something that would stick, and we just kept on trying until we found something that resonated with our community. We started doing more events, bigger events, really trying to tap into our local artists and getting them to come in and bring their influence into our space in the library.
Patience has been something that I've definitely learned. Perseverance, you need to be able to understand that world, and they need to be able to understand yours. And good communication skills, you know, let everybody know what it is that you're trying to achieve and just be really open and honest about the whole thing.
It wasn't what I expected because I hadn't been in a library for ages. I've been able to communicate with people that I wouldn't communicate with, and it's boosted my confidence.
If you want to get involved or you want to find out more, go to the Create Gloucestershire website, where you'll find a toolkit as well as access to a whole range of blogs and other articles that can tell you more and how to get involved if you'd like to.
Thanks, Holly. It's a fantastic video. I think it highlights really nicely the different ways that people have approached working with their libraries and how it's taken time, which is something that you've pointed out as really important in that process, is having time to develop those relationships. Johnny, we've got a clip for, to showcase your art piece. I don't know if you want to do a quick introduction.
Yeah, this one I can see that you've got up there, because there's a couple of trailers that were made. One of them was made professionally via Striker Light, and one of them, which is this one I can see up here, was made unprofessionally by me in my shed. In the first lockdown, before I bought myself a nice microphone or anything like that to record with. So it's what was that, you know, under that extreme conditions where we weren't even let out. I literally built a shed, and before I fitted it out, I made this little trailer in it. So that's what this is. There was another one that was made that is a bit more like a standard showreel trailer, although even that...
Yeah, there's one on YouTube, isn't there? If you go to the Striker Light YouTube, it's on there.
Right.
Do you want me to send a link?
Yeah, if you want to send the link, that would be great.
I mean,
We can do that.
you could show this. I haven't seen this one for a long time, so I can't even.
This one's fantastic. I wouldn't have known that it hadn't been done professionally.
Mainly the sound is iffy.
Yeah, this should. Yeah, this should.
We're going to go with it.
Is this thing working? Let's hope so, eh? Hello, my name is Pierre, and I am the handyman on a small seaside pier. General gists, unsurpassable seaside pier, to be exact. And on there, I fix the things that need fixing, I paint the things that need painting, I make stuff. In the current situation, I have to make my own theatrical publicity films as well. And I write poems. Pierre on the pier. Below Pierre, the pier. Above the pier, Pierre. Above pier and Pierre, the air. The seagulls. Clouds. Air traffic. All sorts of things. Really? This is my friend Merle. Merle, she lives under the pier in her sleeping bag. She doesn't want to, but for a variety of reasons, that's where she's ended up. What? Really? Okay, if you're sure. Okay. Well, I guess it's not too much of a spoiler to say that Merle is a mermaid, aren't you? Well, it's this. This is the rubbish of the sea. And this gets tangled around the mermaids, and the mermaids can't swim, and no one can live in the mermaid kingdom anymore, can they? And so Merle has drifted and ended up underneath our pier. And our pier is due to close in a few days. And what will either of us do then, eh? Well, we've written a show about it. The End of the Pier Show. It's a wondrous tale. Can two people, well, one person, one mermaid, pull together to save a pier and to save each other? Okay, and there's music, and there's poetry, there's you dance, I rap, and it's a beautiful thing, and we would dearly love to share it with you as soon as we can.
Yes, well, yeah, sketchy, but I don't know if you got the other one there, do you? Yeah, the other one's more professional.
We've shared the link to the other one, so please go have a look at that. And I think we'll move it swiftly on, Johnny. Thank you. And you know, we know that the show is touring, so if anyone is interested, it's worth contacting you directly.
Yes, yeah. Shall I put up I'll put up a link in the. I'll put up an email address in the chat. That'll be a start, won't it?
That'd be brilliant. I've given them a link to your website so people can.
Oh, okay, yeah. Contact me. That probably.
And we'll be sharing this recorded video with our network of libraries, so more people will be able to see it. I'm going to move on swiftly to Robin. Robin, are you happy to introduce yourself and to tell us a little bit about your organisation and the show that you're touring?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us. So my name's Robin and I represent Half a String. We're a puppetry company based in Canterbury in Kent, so quite close to Applause, who I see are in the chat here. And we are a touring puppetry company who focus on creating intricate and beautiful work for families predominantly. We've toured a number of times. So we toured, our first show was A Heart at Sea, which was a transformative set with a nautical show. We then went on to tour Under the Frozen Moon, which is our Christmas show, but this particular show that we are now touring is called The Puppet Van, and it was created in conjunction with Library Presents in Cambridgeshire in order to create a piece of work that is suitable for non-traditional theatre spaces, including libraries, predominantly focused around getting audiences back, getting people back and engaging with art after what has been a really challenging year, obviously, for sort of gestures vaguely reasons. So the dream for us was to get everybody back and enjoying live work again, but doing so in a way that they felt safe, but with zero compromises. We didn't want to change the style of what we do, or the quality of sort of the imagery in our pieces. So it was a bit of a challenge to start with. So our artistic director, Pete, decided that the best way to do this would be to build his own theatre. So he's done this on top of a van. So the show that we're touring this year is called The Puppet Van, and it is that's the theatre that we're touring. The show itself is called The Lost Colour, and it follows a pigment maker who is desperately trying to create the best pink paint imaginable. And it's got puppetry, it's got clowning, it's got fooling all on top of a van. So the idea being, of course, that the audience can watch wherever they happen to be. So we can drive to you. It's fully mobile, and we tour absolutely everything that we would need for a show. There's absolutely nothing that we need from anybody booking the show, apart from chairs or bean bags or a bit of floor where people can sit and watch the show. I think before I talk much more about it, I think I'm just going to show you a video of it so that you guys can get an idea of how it looks. So I'm also going to share my screen quickly. And here we go. So this is the trailer for The Puppet Van. I hope you enjoy.
Welcome back to Pure Paint Radio, the place of pigments, paint and prattle. Today we are featuring a study on Malcolm Brushell, the Scottish painter. He's a world-renowned pioneer in creating his very own pigment paints. The colours he creates are of the most vivid, superb shades you would ever have seen. All this to say we are eagerly awaiting his new release. Pink. Yes, pink. It's safe to say the world is holding its breath.
So there we go. So that's the show. As you can see, it's on top of a van. That was actually filmed in Ely or Cambridge. I can't remember exactly which performance it was, but it was in conjunction with a library through Library Presents was where we filmed that trailer. So in case of bad weather, we have a marquee. We can take the theatre off the top of the van. In case of a theatre that, or a library that would rather it was inside the library rather than outside, we can take the theatre off and bring it into the library. But the real joy of it, we think, is that it encourages people to come back out and engage with art in their community, hopefully in a way that everybody feels safe, regardless of their status regarding COVID, their vulnerabilities, etc. So that's the show, really. We're touring all over the country, so we're doing a number of rural touring dates. We're back in libraries, we're back in schools, we're back in community centres. We're also doing stuff in conjunction with theatres and local art centres and things like that. So we really are all over the country. I sort of recognise a couple of names in the call today, so I know who we're coming to and we've spoken to, but we'd love to come to more. So if ever you've got, a library or an area that you'd be interested in booking us for, then you can email us directly, and hopefully we'll be able to come and perform in a community really near you very soon. And that's the Puppet Van. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks, Robin. It looks like a fantastic show. One of the things I wanted to share with everyone is that we have launched our Go See grants. So our Go See grants, we're really pleased to basically offer a grant to cover the cost of tickets and travel for schemes and library staff to go and see what other libraries, local authorities or schemes are doing in terms of shows that would be suitable for libraries. So you want it to be to encourage library staff and schemes to go and discover what artists and shows are out there. So if you're a scheme, we're mostly schemes today, interestingly enough, and you are already working with libraries, or you have libraries who you would like to encourage and inspire to go and see shows that you think they might like to see in their spaces, then we can help to cover the costs of that. But we'll also be sharing this with libraries, so we hope that a lot of the libraries that are part of this project will take us up. So it'd be really great to be able to share both Johnny and Robin, your programme of touring for this summer, so that if there's a library nearby who would like to come and see it before they book it, then we can do that for you. So, you know, we're here to kind of be that person to share that information, encourage them to come and see something of your shows before they make that decision whether it's suitable for their audience.
Yeah, what I'll do is I will post in the chat, I'll post a link to our tour date section on our website just now. I'll just copy and paste it, and then it'll be in there and you can see where we're going. Obviously the industry, I don't know if everybody else has found this, has been quite responsive at the moment. So booking times are much shorter than they used to be. We used to be talking 7-8 months. We're now talking sometimes 3 or 4 weeks. So that list is getting updated very, very regularly. So hopefully there'll be lots more on there, but I'll put up what we've got so far for sure.
And one of the other things that obviously is coming up for libraries is that, you know, we're spending this year focusing on helping them to develop relationships, and we're linking libraries up with schemes and arts organisations like Strike a Light as part of this project. And a lot of we're investing that time this year to do that, as a lot of libraries have fed back that they aren't really looking to be in a position to programme work until the spring and summer next year. So I don't know what that means for you as artists. Are these shows, you know, are they still going to be touring next spring and summer? Are you already working on something else that we could help to promote?
Well, certainly speaking for Half a String, we are touring the Puppet Van sort of in perpetuity, because there's really no need to not tour it. Now that we have the van, it's going to be available for the long term, really. So we're definitely thinking that it's going to be an option for certainly next summer. But we're also working on a whole host of other shows. So we've got another show called Breathe, which is coming quite soon, which focuses on the growth of a tree from acorn to oak, and loads of other bits and pieces. But we're focusing mainly on this for certainly this summer. And then our Christmas show, Under the Frozen Moon, is available for a limited tour this coming winter as well. So that has done many libraries in its life. So I'll put some more information about that in the chat as well.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, we'll just keep our libraries updated, and you know, as you can see, there's quite a few schemes here today, so they're listening. Johnny, how do you feel about your show for touring next year?
Who's it? Me? Yeah. I'm definitely touring next year. I mean, I'm not actually touring it this summer because I've got various other projects on the go and young children as well, so trying to balance everything. But I'm available from touring from like October onwards, really. I'm starting off with some stuff like the Cheltenham Literature Festival and things like that, and a few other dates around that, and a few other things are sort of being fitted in at the moment. But I'm mainly from this October onwards and throughout 2022. I'm looking at touring that one while I'm developing. One of the things I'm doing at the moment is developing a new, because I do mixture of, so I'm doing developing a new adult show is the next thing that I'm going to be doing. So this will be my family's show for the next year, I would guess, of touring this.
Right. Yeah, Emma Jane and Amy, I was just going to ask what's coming up for you both.
Oh, crikey. I'm just going to quickly do a quick plug of other things I think you should look for that we're not presenting, but I think are good for you as libraries to be on the lookout for. The Rural Touring Dance Initiative, which has been an amazing scheme that tours professional dance and theatre companies into non-theatre spaces, has been transformative for the work that we've been able to present at Strike a Light. I'd really urge you to look at that. It's a programme that is going to have a new iteration. It is coming to the end of it. It's I think 3 years worth of funding, but Rural Touring Dance Initiative, absolutely sensational. There's also a project called Little Big Dance, and that comes via Southeast Dance. Strike a Light have put some commissioning money into it alongside some really big hitters. We're little fish, there's some big hitters in there too. But they've created some incredible pieces of work for early years, and they are really flexible on their setting. So again, Little Big Dance through Southeast Dance. I'd really recommend checking them out. Strike a Light's continuing to try and support artists in the best way that we can. We're not necessarily programming work in the way that we used to. We're really interested in collaborations between artists and communities. If we get back to a situation where theatres are open in the same way that they were, Strike a Light will continue to programme national touring work. But we're really interested in co-creation, and I think that's one of the key things that is brilliant about being in libraries as both an arts organisation and an artist, that there really is a possibility to co-create and co-collaborate with the communities that you serve, and that's super exciting.
Thank you, Emma-Jane. Amy, do you want to tell us a little bit about the toolkit that you hope to share in the coming months?
Yeah, so we are just finishing up, literally the last edits of a final digital chapter from everything that we've learned from putting on Johnny's show, but also commissioning 2 new artists doing digital workshops. So what that will be is essentially just case studies, but also tips and kind of checklists of what we've learned, and kind of a guide really to if libraries want to put on their own events, both in libraries and online. Yeah, and it's got loads of great stuff like funding advice to all the way to when you've actually set up your event, and it's got checklists on how to look after the company and everything like that. So we're still in the middle of editing that final chapter, and we'll let you know in terms of pushing it out through NRTF networks. That would be really great.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that, Amy. Thank you. Yeah, we're looking forward to doing that. And there's just one question from Sue at Spot on Lancashire. And Sue's put forward this: what one thing in the next 6 months could schemes do to ensure library touring works at the very best? So I guess that goes across the board to artists or to other arts organisations looking to work with schemes. We've got a few minutes if anyone wants to respond, or maybe Sue, you want to?
Yeah, Sue, ask us the question.
Hi, I'll ask you the question. I've really enjoyed today, and it's really lovely to see some familiar faces. But I noticed that there's not a lot of libraries here, and I'm guessing there's a reason for that if I know the library service and what they're dealing with here. So we have MPO rounds coming up. Libraries are very enthusiastic about arts. Lots of library services are trying to do things. And I agree that taking time over building partnerships is absolutely fundamental to it going well. So what I'm trying to ask you is if there was an intervention, mentoring, training, advice, toolkits that could happen in the next 6 months that made sure new library services embarked on this journey of touring in the right direction from the beginning. What would be the one headline piece of advice that you would like to see?
I would say bypasses emails. Get out into those spaces, have as many face-to-face conversations with the library people as you possibly can. And I know, again, that's complicated, but it's really easy to ignore an email. It's harder to ignore somebody standing at the front desk. And I think the quicker you can have those conversations in a personable way, the faster you develop those relationships. So that's a 6-month quick fix. I think if you're looking for something a little bit longer term, invest in an Amy. Get somebody in that can be that bridge between your 2 organisations. It doesn't have to be a full-time post. It could be 1 day a week. But there's this very specific remit for that person to be working with libraries and an arts organisation.
Thank you.
I think that's some really good feedback, isn't it, Sue?
Face to face, yeah. Get past those emails.
And having that contact person, we can. I've seen that starting to happen you know, organisations, whether that's schemes or libraries, are starting to find that person to be that link with the artists and the library staff and the arts organisation. So maybe, you know, through this project we can look to provide, you know, ways of getting that support in place. And what that remit, you talk about a remit for that job role, maybe you could help us to put something together that we can then share with libraries, and maybe libraries are then in a position to go to whoever it is they need to go to secure that additional team member to be that person. I'll wrap it up today. Thank you so much everyone for joining us and sharing. We are very low on libraries today. It was a shame because we had about 28 signed up, so I don't know if something's happened in the communication or whether it's just capacity. I know that there's a big libraries slip event tomorrow, so it might be that people have put their time aside for that, but we've recorded it, so we're going to share it with libraries anyway, so it will go out to a wider audience. I just really want to thank you for taking the time today for joining us. If you have any questions, I'm sure all our speakers and guests will be happy to be contacted directly. Yeah, if there's anything that's come up today that you go away and think about and you want to give us some feedback on, then please do. You can always email me. I'm project@nrtf.org.uk. And also bear in mind the GoSee grants that we've got out there. You know, we're really keen. There are things happening this summer. If you are part of an organisation and you have staff who you want to go and see things that you think you can use as further developing programme ideas, or, you know, Johnny, or if you have libraries that you think would be interested in seeing the show, or Robin, and there's staff that you know that you think would like to come but capacity or funding is an issue, then they can contact us and we can look at supporting them through that. But thank you everyone, and have a fabulous weekend, whatever it is you're up to. Hopefully the sun's going to shine.
Thanks everyone.
We hope to run another at the very beginning of September. So there'll be more chances to share ideas, artists' work, collaborations, and hopefully to inspire all of you. But thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks.